In 2023, while digitizing archived NASA recordings, engineers discovered a fragment of audio that wasn't listed in any official transcript. No title, no mission code, no explanation. Just a single handwritten label and date. July 20th, 1969.
Wait, that's the date. Moon landing date. This is the Dark Archives podcast, where we talk about historical anomalies. In this episode, we're going to explore the eluding nature of the first moon landing.
The day humanity first stepped onto the moon. The day the world watched as three astronauts changed what it meant to be human. But this audio wasn't part of that broadcast. It never aired. On television, it wasn't quoted in textbooks or documentaries. For more than 50 years, it sat unheard, buried among thousands of hours of recordings.
So is this something people were never supposed to hear?
What you're about to hear isn't about where Apollo 11 even landed or how far it traveled. It's about a moment history almost forgot and how close everything came to going wrong. Apollo 11 was a result of years of Cold War rivalry, political pressure, and unprecedented technological ambition. The US had promised the world it would land a man on the moon and return him safely before the decade was over.
And if they didn't, that's not just failure, that's humiliation.
Exactly. The mission carried three astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Two would land on the moon, and one would stay behind, completely alone in orbit and unable to help if something went wrong.
Wait, what? That part still messes with me.
Despite the confidence shown to the public, the technology was fragile. The onboard computer had less processing power than a modern calculator. Navigation depended on the perfect timing and perfect communication, and machines that had never been tested this far from Earth.
So basically, zero room for error.
Exactly. As the lunar module descended, alarms began sounding. The computer overloaded, fuel drained faster than expected, and mission control watched the numbers drop in real time.
How close were they to calling it off?
Less than 30 seconds. With fuel almost gone, Neil Armstrong took manual control and guided the module to the surface. When he said the Eagle has landed, the world celebrated. But most people never realized how narrow the victory really was. The recovered audio begins minutes after touchdown. It wasn't transmitted to Earth, it was recorded internally, meant only for technical review. And at that point, the danger wasn't over.
They still had to step outside, knowing how close they'd come.
There's a long pause in the recording. No cheering, no applause, just breathing. Then a voice quietly says they hadn't trained for how quiet the moon would be.
That's unsettling.
That moment never made it into any official transcript. It wasn't dramatic enough, but it captured something raw. The weight of realizing how far from Earth they truly were. For the first time, humans weren't just visitors to space. They were standing somewhere that had never known human presence.
And if something failed out there, no one would even hear it.
Exactly. History focuses on Armstrong's famous first words. But this recording shows what came before. The hesitation, the fear, and the understanding that survival wasn't guaranteed. According to internal notes, the recording stopped shortly after that moment, and it was never referenced again.
Maybe it didn't fit the story people wanted.
We talk about the moon landing as if it were inevitable, but inevitably is something that we assign after success. In the moment, there was only uncertainty.
Just people making choices without knowing how it would end. That's a little irresponsible.
Exactly. The law's transition reminds us that progress depends on courage and vulnerability, on moving forward while fully aware of the possibility of failure.
That's what makes it real.
That recording was never meant to inspire anyone, but hearing it now, it reminds us that even history's greatest achievements were made by people who were unsure and moved forward anyway.
Sometimes the biggest moments aren't the one we celebrate. Join us on our next podcast episode where we'll talk about the pyramids, aliens, or human ingenuity. Thanks for listening to the Dark Archives.